Snowstorms create some of the most extreme and disorienting conditions on Earth, where the environment itself seems to lose its structure and definition. Whiteouts can erase visibility completely, turning landscapes into endless blank space with no clear direction or horizon. Wind becomes sharp, unpredictable, and powerful enough to reshape snow in seconds. In these moments, even familiar surroundings become unrecognizable, as roads, trees, and terrain vanish under shifting layers of white. The world stops feeling stable and instead feels like it is constantly moving. This sudden loss of reference points affects human perception in subtle but powerful ways. The brain struggles to process distance when everything is uniformly covered in snow. Shapes lose their meaning as outlines dissolve into the background. Depth perception becomes unreliable, making even close objects feel far away. In such conditions, reality itself feels uncertain and fragile. One of the most commonly reported experiences during snowstorms involves dark shapes appearing within whiteouts. Often described as figures moving alongside travelers or crossing paths unexpectedly, these sightings are frequently called walking shadows, and they emerge when visibility drops so low that the brain begins interpreting incomplete visual data. In reality, these shapes are usually caused by other people, shifting snow patterns or shadows created by uneven terrain and partially hidden objects. However, in near-zero visibility, even the simplest distortion can feel threatening or unnatural. The mind fills in missing details automatically, trying to create meaning from chaos. A harmless blur can quickly become something that feels alive. Fear increases this effect, making interpretation even less reliable. Under stress, perception becomes less accurate and more imaginative. The environment itself provides just enough ambiguity to confuse human senses. This is why snowstorms often generate reports of strange encounters. Another common phenomenon involves animals appearing much larger or more unusual than they actually are during blizzards. In snowy conditions, gray wolves are sometimes misidentified as snow wolves of exaggerated size due to distortion in depth perception. The lack of clear contrast between animal and environment makes outlines appear stretched or unclear. A partially hidden body can seem closer or more massive than it truly is. Movement becomes harder to track when background and subject blend together. This creates an illusion where familiar animals feel unfamiliar or even supernatural. The brain attempts to correct missing visual information, but often overcompensates. As a result, normal wildlife can take on distorted proportions. These misinterpretations are not rare in extreme weather environments. Instead, they are natural consequences of sensory limitations under stress. In Arctic regions, there are also frequent reports of humanoid-like figures standing motionless during storms, often described as unsettling or unnatural silhouettes in the snow. These ice-blanketed humanoids are typically explained by natural formations such as snow-covered trees, frozen rocks, or abandoned equipment partially buried under ice. When visibility is severely reduced, the human brain struggles to distinguish between organic and inorganic shapes. Static objects can easily appear alive when partially obscured by snow. Movement of surrounding wind and drifting snow adds to the illusion of life. Shadows shift constantly, further confusing perception. In such environments, even a simple post or rock formation can resemble something human-like. These misinterpretations are common in survival conditions where visual clarity is almost non-existent. The mind prioritizes pattern recognition, even when patterns are misleading. Snowy owls contribute to many mysterious sightings because of their perfect camouflage in snowy environments, making them nearly invisible until they suddenly move. Their white feathers blend seamlessly with snow-covered surroundings, allowing them to remain undetected for long periods. When they take flight unexpectedly, the sudden motion can appear almost supernatural in a whiteout. A silent shape emerging from the snow can easily trigger confusion or fear. The lack of sound and visibility amplifies the effect, making the movement seem unexplained. In harsh conditions, even natural wildlife behavior can feel otherworldly. The sudden appearance of a bird in motion contrasts sharply with the stillness of the storm. This contrast creates moments that the brain struggles to interpret correctly. What is natural becomes temporarily mysterious under extreme environmental stress. Another frequently reported illusion involves what some describe as blizzard giants, where shifting snow formations and wind patterns create brief humanoid shapes in the storm. Strong winds push snow into waves that rise and fall unpredictably across the landscape. Light reflects unevenly across these moving surfaces, creating shifting silhouettes that appear to change shape continuously. The human brain is highly sensitive to movement and often tries to interpret patterns even when none exist. This process, known as pattern recognition under stress, becomes exaggerated in whiteout conditions. As a result, random environmental motion can be perceived as structured forms. These illusions are not stable and disappear quickly as conditions shift. However, in the moment, they can feel extremely convincing. The combination of motion, low visibility, and fear creates powerful misinterpretations. This explains why such reports are common during severe storms. Some hikers and travelers have also reported encountering frozen humanoid shapes along trails. It's often referred to as frozen trail creatures, which initially appear alarming in low visibility conditions. These shapes are usually revealed to be snow-covered rocks, backpacks, or natural ice formations shaped by wind and temperature over time. In extreme weather, even simple objects can become unrecognizable due to heavy snow accumulation. Wind sculpting can create unusual contours that resemble organic forms. When partially buried, these objects lose their identifiable features completely. The human brain, under stress and limited vision, tends to interpret ambiguous shapes in familiar ways. This leads to misidentification of harmless objects as something living or unusual. Cold temperatures further slow reaction time, increasing uncertainty. In survival conditions, perception becomes less reliable and more interpretive. Finally, one of the most psychologically intense experiences reported during snowstorms involves the sensation of being followed, often accompanied by faint impressions of movement or footprints disappearing behind the traveler. These experiences are typically the result of disorientation, fear, and severely limited visibility combined with environmental noise. Wind distortion can create sounds resembling footsteps or movement nearby. The brain, already in a heightened survival state, becomes highly sensitive to potential threats. This can lead to misinterpretation of random sensory input as meaningful patterns. In whiteout conditions, even personal movement can become confusing without clear reference points. The combination of isolation and sensory deprivation intensifies these feelings. While nothing physical may be present, the experience feels extremely real to the individual. Snowstorms do not create monsters, but they do create environments where perception becomes unreliable. And in that uncertainty, the mind often fills the silence with something that feels alive.